Chapter Review. The current population survey is a monthly survey of 60,000 households across the country that is the basis for the nation's labor market statistics. The working age population is non institutionalized people aged 16 and over who are not in the US Armed Forces. The labor force is a sum of the number of people employed and the number of unemployed. To be unemployed, a person must have no employment, be available for work, and either have made an effort to find a job during the previous 4 weeks or be waiting to be recalled to a job from which he or she was laid off. The unemployment rate is a percentage of people in the labor force who are unemployed. The labor force participation rate is the percentage of working age population who are members of the labor force. A marginally attached worker is a person who is available and willing to work but has not made specific efforts to find a job within the previous 4 weeks but has looked for work sometime in the recent past. A discouraged worker is a marginally attached worker who is not searching for work because previous attempts to find a job within the past 4 weeks were unsuccessful. Full-time workers are those who usually work 35 hours or more a week. Some part-time workers are looking for full-time work but cannot find it because of unfavorable economic conditions and are called part-time for economic reasons. Practice problem. Determine the labor market status or each of the following people. Don is 21 and a full-time college student. So he is not in the labor force as he is neither working or looking for job. Shirley works for 20 hours a week as an administrative assistant and is looking for a full-time job. He is a part-time worker because he is working less than 35 hours a week. Clarence was laid off from his job selling keyboards to computer manufacturers and is actively seeking a new job. He is unemployed, so he is part of labor force. Pat quit her job as an accountant executive 6 months ago but unable to find a new position has stopped actively searching. Pat is neither working nor looking for a job or work, so she is not in the labor force. Pat is a discouraged worker. The Bureau of Labor Statistics reported that in June 2005, the labor force was 149.1 million, employment was 141.6 million, and the working age population was 225.9 million. Calculate for that month the unemployment rate. So the labor force, the unemployment rate is calculated by the labor force equals employed plus unemployed. So unemployed equals the labor force minus employed. So the unemployed is in the question 149.1 million minus 141.6 million, that is employed, which equals 7.5 million. So unemployment rate is number of unemployed over labor force times 100. So 7.5 million is the unemployment, the number of people unemployed over the labor force 149.1 million times 100, which is 5%. So the unemployment rate is 5%. B. The labor force participation rate. The labor force, you calculate labor force participation rate by dividing labor force over working age population times 100. So it is 149.1 million over 225.9 million times 100, which is 66%. Third, the table above gives status of the population of a small nation. What is the size of the labor force? The size of the labor force is 1500. The data given, working age population is given, which is 2000, and the working age population is divided into two, labor force and not in labor force. So here the not in labor force is given, which is 500. So if you take out 500 from 2000, you will be left with 1500, which is the size of the labor force. What is the number of unemployed workers? 200. What is the unemployment rate? Unemployment rate equals number of unemployed over labor force times 100. So the number of unemployed is 200 over 1500 is the labor force times 100, which equals 13.3%. What is the labor force participation rate? Labor force participation rate equals labor force over working age population times 100. So it is 1500 over 2000 times 100 equals 75%. These are true and false and multiple choice questions.